Hi, hey, and all those other greetings, Spade Adventurers. I'm Jake Spence, welcoming you guys back to my gaming and unboxing channel, where today I will be representing the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom to discuss the issues of malpractice that have been plaguing the Mushroom Kingdom since the 1990s. But before we talk about how bad this has gotten, I want to talk about the person who has kicked off the malpractice revolution, being Dr. Mario. Or should I say, Dr. Mario. Now, since his initial appearance, Mario has worn a lot of hats. Originally appearing as a plumber, he's gone down a resume of professional baseball, soccer, golf, tennis, basketball, volleyball, and dodgeball player. He's been an Olympian, he's been a kart racer, and a professional fighter or street fighter. Kind of could go either way, because he's gone against Ken, Ryu, as well as going against characters that are more fantasy-based, such as Link, Ridley, and all those likes. And we can also add Doctor to that, as well as so many other different things, which, yes, includes cereal mascot. Now, I don't want to trivialize any of Mario's accomplishments. He's done so many amazing things throughout the years, and he's brought so much enjoyment to all of the different people throughout the Mushroom Kingdom, as well as the people in our world. However, that doesn't excuse the entire issue of the doctors. Now, Mario only became a doctor to get rid of an issue that the Mushroom Kingdom had in general. It didn't really have any doctors, and one big issue at that time was the virus problem. Whether this was viruses needing to be tested or to be gotten rid of, somebody needed to step up to get rid of these things, and like any other time, Mario was the person to step up and try to be the hero. Unfortunately, though, it's not like Mario could just go to college and get a doctorate. Instead, he just ended up donning a doctor's suit and dealing with these cretins. At the time, this was a really good thing because it helped the Mushroom Kingdom be healthy and end up being able to thrive and continue going on and living their lives. Though this ended up being a problem later in areas like Mario Party 4, where they just kept poisoning patients to test medicine, and it kind of just spiraled from there. Again, though, before we get too ahead of ourselves, we should at least look at the evidence of why Mario became a doctor, being specifically the viruses. So these guys come in their 3 base form, which is how they were in their original release. Ever since then, they have mutated into several different variants, but for the most part, these guys are pretty much only immune to specific colors of medicine, so you can't get rid of a red virus with blue medicine or a blue virus with yellow medicine. But you can get rid of a red virus with red medicine, and so on and so forth. Essentially, these guys aren't really that different. They're pretty much just a variety of different colors that you get rid of for different medicine. Now, in our world, we see this as a puzzle game, where you end up having to match the pills. Mario sees this as that, but more heroic, I guess. Other than that, though, the only difference that they really have is several personalities, being more of a fiery and excited personality, a chilled and, I don't know, also excited personality, as well as a more lethargic and gluttonous personality. But before we get on to the main culprit of this, we do need to look at the viruses in a closer look. So let's open these up. Now, this is a plush set, believe it or not, made through the Dr. Mario app game. This is something that I definitely want to talk about, but I want to talk about this after we go over these plush. As stated before, we have the different viruses, which kind of remind me a little bit of Puffles, just not as cute. So, these guys are made up of very soft yet very harsh material, so they're not as soft as they usually have for Little Buddy, which I guess makes sense since they're more of a harder virus type, and they're also more of a smaller kind of plush. From feeling them though, the blue one does actually feel the softest, which is kind of surprising to me. The red guy has a little bit of devil horns and some ears, whereas the blue guy has these little seed drop hairs, which those are just two pieces of felt that are put together and sewn at the top. And then this yellow guy has these little spikes. So essentially, both of these two, they have them stuffed and they have them puffed. This one feels like it's more of a harder felt up there, and it's more of a stabilized type thing, whereas this feels like it's more of a softer spike. Other than that, there's not really too much to talk about these guys except for the rest of them. So these little eye parts are a harder fabric that are embroidered at the eyes, around the eyes, kind of like goggles, and the yellow bit of the eyes, the pupils, or the red bit, are essentially embroidered on there. That's not the only bit that is embroidered on, as you do have the same texture as the eyes, with the mouth being a very similar color on this red one, but a very different one on this blue one. You have the dark mouth there with the embroidery. You also have the teeth being embroidered on, and then the tongue being a softer felt with the outline in there as well. So that's a pretty interesting thing. Same with the blue, and of course, the yellow one has it shut, and that has a more puffy face on there with smaller eyes. Now, something I am noticing that's interesting about the yellow one is that the dark part is actually a rougher felt than the blue and the red dark part. Those are more so a softer type of fabric, though not as soft as something like this, whereas this is more of a closer to an embroidered, but you feel it and it kind of feels a little bit like unsticky Velcro. These guys are also attached to the box themselves, so I would have to end up cutting them out of it. But to be honest, they actually look really nice in this display case, so I think I'm going to actually leave them in this. So now that we're done with talking about the viruses, we're going to talk about what happened after Dr. Mario. Well, for a while, Dr. Mario was the only person really being a doctor and committing the malpractice in the Mushroom Kingdom. We eventually had his brother Luigi jump into the fray and invent L-pills, which was literally just 2 pills duct taped together, which I guess would be the medical term for it. And of course, before this, we ended up having the Mario Party 4 debacle, but nobody actively pretended to be a doctor. They just kind of snuck into a doctor's office and pushed a bunch of pills, which is another very illegal thing. But as stated, Luigi became a doctor, and then after this, we ended up having the floodgates just open with the mobile game of Dr. Mario World. Initially, this ended up being characters like Bowser and Peach jumping into the fray, as well as other characters such as Yoshi, Birdo, and Daisy. Now, a lot of these characters you could at least see being doctors, or at least pretending to be doctors, but it got a little bit more sketchy for the Mushroom Kingdom people that were looking for medical care. We ended up getting baby doctors, like Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, and Baby Peach. If you wanted to go get yourself checked out or get a brain surgery, you may have had a baby operating on you, and that is horrifying. You also could potentially have a dolphin or a stack of Goombas working on you. Goombas that, might I add, don't even really have that much to be able to hold the tools on. Like, they could hold with their mouth, and maybe that's why there's 3 of them, but their official name is Dr. Goomba Tower. And yes, that did open the possibility for a Dr. Pink Gold Baby Peach to be a thing. Thank God it wasn't. but it was a possibility at one point. Fortunately, though, that case was actually closed down. Breaking character, though, it is unfortunate that that mobile game did shut down, even though I didn't really play it. If you enjoyed it, I did actually love the ridiculous characters. A very fun time. I never really played it, but I loved always seeing the ridiculous reveals. But back into character, very concerning. Not a joke for the people of the Mushroom Kingdom. Now, you would think that this whole Dr. Mario charade would just stop in the doctor field, right? Wrong, because he actually ended up playing this role inside of Smash Brothers, and what makes this so interesting is that Nintendo has almost defined Dr. Mario as his own person. And not only that, but he's become the doctor of so many different fighters inside of the Smash Brothers series. It doesn't even stop there, believe it or not, because his final appearance, you'd think it would be Dr. Mario World. No, it's in the karting world in Mario Kart Tour. How does this happen? I don't understand. I really don't. It's not only him who joins, it's also Dr. Luigi, Dr. Bowser, and Dr. Peace. Dr. Peace? And Dr. Peach. So their malpractice has now gone on the road to so many different locations, and it's really, really rough for everybody inside of this universe. Now, as all discussions go, we need to have a little bit of defense here, right? And the best person to have for this defense and to hear from, or at least see, because it's a plush, you can't speak unless I pretend to make it talk, would be Dr. Mario himself. So, that's who we have here, the good old doctor from 1990 to 2020, going from doctors to doctors on the road, and I still think that he got his license from the internet in 15 minutes just with his credit card. But you know what? Whether you want to debate that or not, he exists and he is good enough for plush form, apparently. Now, I'm going to guess that this is also a Dr. Mario World plush, and it is in fact one. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Dr. Mario, as you can tell. I think he's kind of a weird character. I don't think he's awful, he's just not my cup of tea. And while that is the case, I didn't really think they would make a plush of him, and I feel like he's going to be one that in the future is going to be extremely hard to get. So I got him mostly for collector's reasons, but also because it just seemed like a really fun video to do, and just off the cuff I ended up doing this whole malpractice thing because I always go on this tangent of I don't think he's a doctor. Anyway, though, let's open him up. Alrighty, so one of the interesting things about Dr. Mario, I guess too, is that first off, he's going to have the blueprints of a regular Mario plush. That makes it make a lot of sense that they would end up choosing Dr. Mario, since they could just take his blueprint and easily put a doctor's outfit on him. It's almost surprising they haven't done this with other Mario costumes, such as the Mario Sunshine plush, which would sell really well, and they would just have to add sunglasses and a Hawaiian t-shirt to it. But they actually went into quite a lot of detail. One big thing about Dr. Mario is that he doesn't wear his hat, instead wearing this thing, which I believe reflects light so that you can see what's going on, and I don't really know the name of it. This, however, does give a little bit of a shine because they do have a more of a vinyl type of material on the front, and in the back it's a rougher type of felt. Kind of looks like a Flintstone-ish wheel. And around it, you end up having this headband that kind of has this feeling of... I don't know if you guys have ever had the headlamps like the headlights where you put it on, and it's kind of like what the coal miners wear if they don't have the helmets. But it kind of feels like the headband for that. Below this, we have his hair, and this is something that you don't see, especially in merch, where you have the little bit of the three-pronged tuft of his hair going like that. And you also have the little sideburns, which you usually see, and the back puff. Now, the front and the back puff are both separate pieces, being a little bit more fluffy. This one is more separate, being just sewed on, kind of like the Poochie tongue we ended up talking about in that video. And then this one is the more indented type of thing. On the sides, for the sideburns, those are just flat pieces of felt. Another interesting thing is with this type of plush, you can actually see Mario's ears a little bit better because it's not restricted by the hat. So you can see that it's just a little bit of a unstuffed piece of fabric, which they have it where it's just kind of cuffed in the center and then it goes out. So if you press on it, it's very flat, not really any foam, just fabric, but it does feel really nice. Going from there, I think we should talk about Mario's pill. He's not the only plush to actually be holding one of these, as there have been plush in the past, such as Fire Mario, to hold a fireball, and he has actually... to hold a fire flower, which is the Mario Galaxy Mario plush. The pill itself is made of a very hard plastic and actually feels not necessarily like a pill, as it's not hard and chalky, because that would be very weird for a plush, but it does have that that rougher type of texture that I never know how to describe what it's like. Other thing I almost forgot to mention about Mario's face is his mustache. He has gone through very different varieties of this. This is the most recent, where it's a harder black felt on there, and instead of just being a bunch of fluffy strands. And honestly, this one kind of looks a little bit better. It's cleaner and it's better for the preservation. His eyes and his eyebrows are also embroidered on, with the whites of the eyes being embroidered and the blues, the bright blue being more of the edge, kind of like in the virus plush. The black and the blue in the center, as well as the white, are also embroidered on. Sorry, I completely forgot about his face, which is the moneymaker of Mario, I guess, but, you know, I guess I was thinking Luigi's face is handsomer, and I thought we should go on to something else. I guess if this was Dr. Luigi, I'd be more excited. I don't know, I just like Luigi better. Anyway, though, since we already talked about the hands, we might as well talk about the gloves. So, usually for these Mario plush, I do notice that they do have the hands closed, where it's stitched at the bottom, and you have these little stitches here, you have the thumb stitched, and then you have the little Mario Mickey Mouse type of ridges on there that are embroidered on. However, because he's holding the pill, you do also have it shown as being open for this hand, which is pretty neat. Going from there, we have the coat, which on the inside, it looks like there's the red tie. Unfortunately, it was kind of folded in. There we go, that's a lot better. I was like, maybe it's the red under the shirt or something, and then I realized, no, that's the tie. So this is the same material as the red part of the pill, being a rougher type of fabric, with the back not being too bad. It's more so smooth. And then other than that, you also have the stethoscope, which the black part is an extremely rough and almost sharp type of fabric. And you also have some vinyl on the ear bits, as well as this part, the little circle on the end of the stethoscope, with a little bit of that harder fabric on the end. Almost kind of looks like an earbud. He's pretending it's a stethoscope, but no, it's just a Raycon attached to some electronic fork. I'm not even sure. There's some kind of vibrator fork to where you like hit it on something and it vibrates to make sound. I think it's like a tuning fork or a pitchfork. A pitchfork is a very different thing, Spence. Anyway, though, going on from my goofiness, we have his coat, which is a very soft lab coat. So props to you for that. Which you do also have these very subtle buttons right there that almost make it look kind of like a fluffy and soft robe. Those are very fragile and again could be really bad for the preservation of this plush, which is very unfortunate. But it does make it look a little bit nicer. And the other cool thing is that you do have these pockets. They're not real pockets, so if you're trying to keep something secret from a loved one that's really small, like, I don't know, maybe you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that you want to propose to, and you want to hide the ring. They have a really small fingers or something. Or, they just have, like, yeah, I think a ring's the only thing you could really keep in there. But you can't just keep it in the pocket. But if this did have a pocket, there you go. Boom. Very easy secret little spot there. It wouldn't be that safe, though, because you'd want to keep that in a box. But the coat itself is more of a detachable object, except for the sleeves, I believe, which are pretty much stitched at this area. This isn't essentially new for these type of plush, as there have been other plush where the overall parts, at least the top part, could actually be taken off because of the way they were and the way the stitching was to make it easier. So they want to make this free-flowing, so because of that, you can actually lift this part and you can see his pants, which are more of a whitish type. And then on the back, interestingly enough, you have half of a part that's more of a shirt and it has that rougher fabric. So very interesting there. And on the inside of the lab coat, you do have a bit of that rougher texture as well, probably to kind of just keep off of the softer fabric. The pants themselves are also the same type of soft fabric that this is. And the shoes are also a very soft fabric that mesh really well with the pants. And like most of the other Mario shoes, they have the very pale soles on them. As stated before with the virus plush, this is going to be one of the only times that we do see a Dr. Mario specific tag. We have seen more of a standardized Mario All-Stars type of series plush, but because this was to promote the mobile game, we do get this really nice looking tag. We also get a nice touch tag right there that also has the Dr. Mario World logo on it. It was a little bit hard to show off, but hopefully you guys did at least see it. But yeah, that is the Dr. Mario and virus plush. I'm not gonna lie, part of this was just the fact that I wanted to go onto Amazon to pick up a few things, and I saw these guys for sale. Thought, you know what, I should probably pick these up before they're gonna be too hard to find. But I am glad that I ended up getting these guys. They're pretty neat, they're pretty soft, and while this isn't my favorite part of the Mario series, it is definitely one of the more interesting parts. Let me know down below, what do you guys think of these plush, as well as the Dr. Mario and other Doctor series? I also want to know, what is your guys' favorite out of all of the ridiculous doctors? Personally, mine is Dr. Goomba Tower and Dr. Dolphin. Because that is amazing, and I kind of want Goomba Tower in and of itself to be playable in some other form of Mario spin-off. Because seeing a Goomba, especially a Goomba Tower, do something like driving a cart or, I don't know, playing football or something, that would just be freaking amazing, and I would love that. Anyway, though, guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, share yourself with everyone known love, brother, mother, sister, father, iguana, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, bye! Doctor's orders, watch another Jake Spins video. It's good for your health and your colon. Listen, I tried. I tried. Alright. See you guys next time.